Have you ever felt like the person you married has changed over time? It's a question that echoes through the hallways of countless homes, whispered in hushed tones between friends, and contemplated in the quiet solitude of a sleepless night. It begins subtly, like a faint melody playing in the background of your life. Then, as days turn into months and months into years, you start noticing changes. The person who was once a familiar face, a comforting presence, and your rock, now seems like a stranger. You find yourself wondering, who is this person I share my life with? Change, in its essence, is a natural part of life. It's as inevitable as the rising sun, as constant as the ticking clock. We change. Our partners change. It's a dance as old as time itself. But what happens when the dance leads us down a path that feels unfamiliar? When the rhythm of change leaves us stumbling, confused, and lost? In the realm of relationships, change can be a tricky beast. It's not the change itself that often causes distress, but rather the shock and confusion that comes with it. When the person you've pledged to share your life with starts to change in ways you didn't anticipate, it can feel as though the ground beneath you is shifting. The world as you knew it, the person you thought you knew, suddenly seems different. But here's the thing, change isn't always a bad thing. It can be a sign of growth, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It can bring about new perspectives, new opportunities, and new ways of being. But it can also bring about feelings of uncertainty and fear. It's a double-edged sword cutting both ways, and it's how we handle it that truly defines us. So, when you find yourself staring at an unfamiliar face, remember this. Change can be challenging, but it doesn't have to be the end of a relationship. Remember when your partner was always well-groomed and now, well, not so much? It's natural to notice physical changes in your partner over time. Maybe they've put on a few pounds, or their hair isn't as meticulously combed as it once was. Perhaps they've swapped their stylish wardrobe for comfy sweatpants and t-shirts. These transformations can be startling, and you might find yourself thinking, that's not who I married. But here's the thing. These changes don't necessarily mean your partner no longer cares about you or their appearance. Life gets busy, stress creeps in, priorities shift. Sometimes personal grooming takes a back seat. And yes, while maintaining a physical appearance is important, it's equally important to remember that love isn't skin deep. So, before you panic, take a step back. Understand that we all change, and that's okay. Physical changes can be tough to swallow, but they're not always a sign of deeper issues. Ever feel like your partner is emotionally distant or not as attentive as they used to be? It's an unsettling feeling, isn't it? When the emotional landscape of your relationship starts to shift, the person you once knew so well may start to feel like a stranger. You might notice they're not as responsive, they're more irritable, or they seem to be emotionally distant. And it's not just about missing the good morning kisses or the late night chats, it's about that deep, emotional connection that seems to have faded. Now, it's important to understand that these changes are often not about you or the relationship per se. They can be due to a variety of factors, and it's not always about a lack of love or interest. Life happens, and it brings along its fair share of stressors. Work pressure, health issues, financial worries, or even personal insecurities can start to weigh heavily on a person's emotional well-being. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack all day. Eventually, it's going to take a toll on your energy, right? Similarly, when someone is dealing with a lot of emotional baggage, it can drain their emotional energy, leaving them with little to invest in their relationships. They might become less attentive, more irritable, or emotionally distant, not because they love you any less, but because they're just too tired to engage on the same level as before. So if you're feeling like your partner isn't as emotionally available as they used to be, try not to take it personally. It can be hard, especially when it feels like the person you love is drifting away. But remember, it's not always about you or your relationship. It's often about them and what they're going through. Understanding this is the first step towards empathy, patience, and ultimately, healing. It can help you approach the situation with compassion rather than resentment, and that can make a world of difference in how you navigate this emotional shift. Emotional changes can feel personal, but they're often a sign of other stresses or issues. So, hold on, be patient, and remember, every relationship goes through its seasons. Just because it's winter now, doesn't mean spring won't come. Feeling stuck and unsure of what to do next? Professional help might be the answer. When you find yourself in the middle of a maze that is your relationship, it can be incredibly challenging to find your way out. The person you once knew like the back of your hand now seems like a stranger. and the love that once flowed freely now feels like a distant memory. It's in moments like these that seeking external assistance, such as couples counseling, becomes an invaluable resource. Couples counseling offers a safe haven, a neutral ground where both parties can feel secure in expressing their feelings, their fears, their hopes, and their disappointments. It's a place where you can voice out, "This is not the person I married," and instead of judgment, you receive understanding. Instead of dismissal, you're met with validation. It's a space where you can start to unravel the complexities of your partner's changes and your own feelings towards them. Counseling also provides the tools to help you understand each other better. The changes you see in your partner might feel abrupt and unwelcome, but they rarely occur in a vacuum. There are often underlying issues, unexpressed emotions, or unmet needs that lead to these alterations. A professional can help you unravel these threads, giving you insight into why your partner isn't the same person you married. But beyond understanding, counseling is about finding solutions. It's about learning new communication skills, building empathy, and fostering a stronger emotional connection. It's about finding ways to accept change, to grow with it, and to let it strengthen your relationship rather than weaken it. It's about rekindling the love that made you say, "I do," in the first place. Counseling isn't a sign of failure, but rather a tool to help navigate the complexities of change. It's a compass that helps you find your way through the labyrinth of emotions, misunderstandings, and hurt. It's a beacon of hope when you feel lost in the sea of change. So, if you find yourself questioning, "Is this the person I married?" Remember, help is available. You don't have to navigate this journey alone. So, your partner has changed. Now what? You've observed the changes, felt the shifts in dynamics, and perhaps even sought professional help. But now you face the most daunting question of all. Should you stay or should you go? It's a fork in the road that many of us have faced or will face at some point in our relationships. It's important to remember that this decision is deeply personal, and one-size-fits-all advice simply doesn't apply here. What works for one couple may not work for another. So, how do you decide? Start by reflecting on your own feelings and experiences. Are you still happy in your relationship? Do you feel respected and valued by your partner? Do you still share common goals and dreams? These are the questions that can guide you. If you find that your feelings of love and respect have waned, or that your shared dreams have diverged, it may be time to consider parting ways. But if you still find joy and fulfillment in your relationship, despite the changes, then perhaps what you're facing is just another chapter in your shared story, a challenge to overcome together. It's also important to consider the nature of the changes. Some changes, like physical appearance or habits, can be addressed and worked through. But if the changes are related to core values or abusive behavior, these are red flags that should not be ignored. Remember, societal expectations shouldn't dictate your decision. Just because society says that you should stick it out doesn't mean you have to, especially if your well-being is at stake. At the same time, don't let society rush you into leaving a relationship that, with effort and patience, could still flourish. Lean on your support network during this time. Talk to trusted friends, family, or a counselor. Their perspectives can provide valuable insights. Above all, prioritize your happiness and well-being. This decision isn't about your partner, it's about you. It's about what you want, what you need, and what you deserve. Remember, it's your life and your happiness. Make the decision that feels right for you. Change is inevitable, but how we respond to it is up to us. This video has taken us on a journey through the complex terrain of change within marriage. We've examined how the unfamiliar face of a spouse can be a sign of change, whether it's physical alterations or a shift in dressing style. We've delved into the more profound emotional shifts that can take place, altering the dynamics of a relationship in unexpected ways. We've considered the role of counseling as a tool to navigate these changes and shed light on underlying issues. This can be a valuable step towards understanding and acceptance. Finally, we've tackled the difficult question of whether to stay in the relationship. This decision is deeply personal and should be made with careful consideration and compassion. No matter what, remember that change is a part of life and doesn't have to mean the end of love. Through understanding, patience, and open communication, it's possible to navigate these changes together, growing stronger as individuals and as a couple.